Welcome, marketing chefs. I've got something truly special cooking in our Omni-Channel oven today. After 3 weeks with the 2020 iPad Pro, Magic Keyboard case, and second generation Apple Pencil, do these three stack up against your MacBook Pro? Up next in the Marketing Kitchen. Welcome to the kitchen, the Marketing Kitchen. Hi, I'm Ron Vining, your host of MarketingKitchenTV. Can the 2020 iPad Pro with Magic Keyboard case and the second generation Apple Pencil replace your MacBook? After 3 weeks with the 2020 12.9-inch iPad Pro with the all-new Magic Keyboard case that includes the Trackpad as well as the second generation Apple Pencil, I wanted to give you an update on my experience with the device so far. All right, I mentioned to you in a prior video, and I'll throw the link right up here so that you can take a look at that. That's my in-depth review. So it's an unboxing and review of the 2020 12.9-inch iPad Pro with Magic Keyboard case, as well as the second gen Apple Pencil. All right, I mentioned to you that in order to get into the full ecosystem, I had to drop about $2,200 US. And when you consider that my MacBook Pro is right over here, it's the 13.5-inch MacBook Pro, that cost me, it's a 2018 model, I upgraded the processor, that cost me $2,500. So when you think about a $300 differential, and maybe it was a little bit less. Maybe it's about, actually probably is, maybe it was closer to $2,350. Anyway, I'm not sure. Anyway, let's just say that within $300, you're looking at this versus this. But I guess this, all of this is blocking the way. So let me just quickly go over with you again. I bought the 2020, right here, right here. I bought the 2020 12.9-inch iPad Pro. I upgraded it to the 1 terabyte hard drive, as well as this is the Wi-Fi and cellular version. So yeah, all right, it was a bit more expensive. But not only that, I bought the all-new Magic Keyboard, which includes the Trackpad. So this is the case, it's the Trackpad, it's the keyboard, and this was expensive. This was a lot of money. Got the second generation Apple Pencil, second gen Apple Pencil, which is charging right here. And you know what? I've only used the Apple Pencil twice in 3 weeks. Now, granted, I've been not doing my usual work. In other words, I have not been on my designer's back sending me new images on a daily basis for a project and then marking them up. And that's what I mainly use the Apple Pencil for. But yeah, I just haven't had a use for that yet. I showed you in the last video too, I upgraded to a Thunderbolt. Well, actually, I already had one because over here on my MacBook, I have my MacBook attached to my Samsung widescreen monitor, and I'm using a Thunderbolt 3 cable for that, but I wanted a dedicated Thunderbolt 3 cable for the iPad so that I didn't have to swap them out. Okay, so but I mean, this is, and I forgot the US dollar price, but this is 60 Sing dollars, which is a lot of coin. Yeah, because I have my Apple Watch, and because if I travel, I don't want to be bringing a normal USB-C charger with me. I picked up the USB-C for the Apple Watch. And then, not included in the last video, but something that I forgot or overlooked to do, was in order to hook up this lapel microphone to the iPad. Now generally, when I'm recording for MarketingKitchenTV, I'm usually recording from my iPhone. And for any of you who have watched the channel know that my iPhone has some of the worst audio ever. So MarketingKitchenTV it suffers from some technical difficulties due to the operator, but most certainly this little dongle right here. Now this is the Lightning to mini plug that came with my iPhone XS Max. Or if it didn't come with that model, it came with the model before it, so maybe it was just the 10 Max. But yeah, this thing's a piece of crap, because I always thought that it was my $9.99 Amazon special lapel Michael. I always thought that it was my $9.99 Amazon Prime special lapel microphone that was giving me the sketchy audio. No, it's either this, which again came with the iPhone, or it's my iPhone XS Max. And I'm baffled by it, because, getting to the point here, I bought this, and this is the same thing. It is the headphone jack, so USB-C to headphone jack. So the one for my iPhone is either junk, or my iPhone is junk, because this, hopefully, now knock on iQuartz here, when I've tested this USB-C version with my iPad, the audio has been fantastic, like stunning. And I actually know that it's not the microphone, because I've attached my microphone to my MacBook and the audio is perfect. So yeah, anyway, we'll see how this video comes out, but this was $15. So when you start adding up, this starts to become a very expensive device. Now, let me just slide this on down, get it out of the screenshot there, so we have a nice clean space as we do the channel. All right, some things that I want to talk about. Again, in that comparison video that I did, I guess the unboxing review and comparison, I compared this iPad to my old iPad. So this is the 2015, also iPad Pro 12.9 inch. So here we'll just put them side by side with each other right there, just so you can get, or maybe I'll just drop it in right here, put it in, have the whole family right next to each other. So, okay, obviously this is a great upgrade from a design aesthetic from this, right? Because as I mentioned in that video, the silicone case for this thing is rubbish. I have had to buy 3. This is since 2015, and this thing barely ever leaves the house, so I don't even know why I bother to own the cellular version. I guess I like giving my telco an extra $15 a month. But this silicone case here, the top part, has weathered, and so I had to dump. This is the 3rd one in 5 years. I think that's unacceptable. The back is held up well, with the exception of this being done in just by putting the lightning cable in and out. So I'm excited to have this new type of case concept, but I really wonder about how well this will last, especially with moisture, because I've realized that one of the things that made this case fail was moisture holding it on the edges, right? Washing your hands, and then maybe not having them fully dry and then touching here, that led to the premature wear. So will that happen if I'm resting my hands on here too often? What if they're wet? What if I'm in Singapore? It's hot sometimes. What if there's moisture? So I'm a bit concerned about that. Now let's compare it to the MacBook Pro. And the other night I decided to turn in, but realized at the last minute that I had something else to do. So I could grab my MacBook and bring it to the bedroom and bang it out. Or I could bring my brand new iPad with its magic keyboard case and give it a whirl. So what I was doing is I was actually using Notes, and I was using LinkedIn and photos. And what I needed to do was just share one of my YouTube videos actually on LinkedIn. And I had written the description and everything in advance. Always do that so that, canned press release, copy, whatever if you want, to then be able to promote the video on LinkedIn and some other channels. Well, I gotta tell you, sitting in bed with this on my lap, articulating the screen, which the case is great. All right, so I mean, let me just pick this up. Make sure I don't block the camera here. But the case is great. Like it's sturdy. It's not going to go anywhere. Like it's well balanced. Apple has done a fantastic job with that. So the device and the whole ecosystem about it, it's great. It's heavy. I mentioned that in my detailed review. It's the same weight as the 13-inch MacBook Pro, but I don't know, it feels a bit heavier. If any of you had the first generation iPad, remember that case that it came in? Once you put it in that, and I mean that iPad was heavy, but that's about the weight of this. So it seems like we've gone backward a bit, even though the whole concept is obviously pushed forward. The amount of time it took me to use the LinkedIn app, the Notes app, and a couple of other things that I did to just make sure that I shared it to not just LinkedIn, but a couple of other channels, must have taken me 3 times as long than if I had just done it on here. Now, you might say, oh, well, Ron, the device is new to you, you just need to get used to it. Well, no, because I've been using an iPhone for almost, it hasn't been 15 years now. I've been using an iPad since they first came out. So when was that? 2011, I think it was, I bought my first iPad. So quite familiar with how to use an iPad. I've had the iPad Pro now so it's been longer than 9 years, huh? iPad's been around for a while. Anyway, I've had that iPad Pro for, since 2015. So no, it's not that. The trackpad is fantastic. I love it. It works great. Keyboard's great. Love the feel of the keyboard. So from a review standpoint, I've got to say I do. I love the way the keyboard works and operates. Not a problem with that at all. It's just that it's not the device. So it's not this device versus this device. What it is it's iPad OS versus Mac OS. And I say this because what I've been attempting to do over the 3 weeks was see if I could, and I mean I've done it before with my other iPad. I've gone away on a work trip for a week before, and I've just had to exist with just my iPad, but I didn't actually then have the expectation that it would be a MacBook replacement. But for $2,200, I was seeking this ecosystem between the ApplePencil, the Magic Keyboard case with Trackpad, and of course the iPad itself to be a MacBook replacement. And unfortunately, because of iPad OS, it's not. The device is, yes. The software is not. Now, Word, PowerPoint, and Excel, because of Office 365, it's basically the same experience. And That's fantastic. I appreciate that. Kudos to Microsoft. Any of you who know me and my background, I've been a consultant to just about every tech company. So that includes Apple, Google, Cisco, SAP, Microsoft, Nokia, Samsung, LG, HP. So I say all of that because there was a time when I was working with Microsoft and Nokia combined on a project together. And yeah, also, who else? Yeah, BlackBerry. I'm trying to think, so the research in motion. Anyway, just about every tech company I've been a consultant for. But I was doing a project for Microsoft and Nokia, and that was when Microsoft was first putting its apps, so Office, it was, I guess, just that Office and Excel, I guess maybe PowerPoint too at the time. I don't know, this was about 6 or 7 years ago. Anyway, that was a dreadful experience. Today, not the case. Today, the Office 365 is fantastic. And I think it's actually called Microsoft 365 now, right? I think they just rebranded it. And when I worked for Google, I worked on their G Suite, right? So they used to be called Google Apps for Enterprise, then it became G Suite. I don't know what they're, Google Docs, whatever, I don't know, I forgot what they're calling it now. Those products work great regardless of whether it is the iPad OS or whether it's the Mac OS. However, the problem is with Apple's own apps. And so I have up for you right now iMovie, and the reason why I have iMovie up is because I've been experimenting with new formats. In fact, so I'll declare the reason why I bought this device was specifically for MarketingKitchenTV and for my other company that I'm starting up called AppFlix, and it was to be able to film reviews for MarketingKitchenTV, and then also to refilm our videos for MarketingKitchenTV, and for me to record my video reviews for AppFlix when that site launches sometime this quarter. And the reason why I got the 1 terabyte is that I thought to myself, I would record on the iPad with the massive storage space that it has there, and then I would edit on iPad, and then I would post directly to YouTube, or I would post directly to my AppFlix website. And the reason why I thought that this would be a fantastic ecosystem for this, because of the articulation of the new keyboard case, because of the, and you're gonna lose me for a second, because of the camera, which is similar to the one from the iPad 11 Pro, but not exactly the same. And with the Magic Pencil, with all of it, I figured I could do some good on the fly, all in one place, record, produce, so basically the whole production. Produce, record, edit, post, share, you name it. And why this would be compelling to me is because currently I've been recording on my iPhone. I've been then airdropping those files, which again, sometimes the audio is fantastic, most of the time it's horrible. And so, but I've been airdropping it to my MacBook Pro over here, and then on this monitor, which is fantastic. And the reason, actually the whole reason I bought the monitor was for me, one I do a lot of PowerPoint, but the other was for the video. But I have a 5 terabyte drive. I have 2 5 terabyte drives here. One of them is dedicated to iMovie. And so the thought process was that I don't need to have all 5 terabytes with me. I could just use the 1 terabyte on this dedicated to iMovie, and it'd be great. As long as I am dumping after a video is up onto either my website or up onto YouTube, I don't need to keep it stored there. But 1 terabyte gives you enough space to be able to take the pictures, record the audio, record the video, assemble them together, and go. I'm sorry for the tangent. What I'm trying to say is that iMovie is one of the most basic video editors out there. And it's free, and I appreciate that from Apple. But I'd rather pay for it and have it be good than be invested in this free software that the iPad OS experience is, the iPad OS experience is miserable in comparison to the Mac OS version. And the Mac OS version used to be more robust, but they've streamlined it to be more similar to the iPad OS version. So anyway, I recently contacted Apple, and they didn't get back to me. So it was Apple support on Twitter. I think they just ignore me now, which really annoys me because I have, I don't know, several $1 million of Apple stock. I have been a loyal brand ambassador for, almost 2 decades now. I buy all of the products. I speak highly and favorably of them. I sometimes am aggressive on social towards Tim Cook, related to what I think are very bad operational decisions, sometimes bad marketing decisions. Like, for example, being so heavily invested in Chinese manufacturing, as well as giving into and forsaking civil human rights. Anyway, just as an aside, one thing that very annoys me is that Tim Cook, and I'm speaking to you right now, you blast American companies and politicians about civil rights in America, but yet you cozy up with China and they afford close to 0 civil rights. So you got to put your money where your mouth is, and if it's okay to do it in one place, it has to be okay in another. Or if it's wrong in one place, it's wrong in another. It's a plain and simple as that. So, but anyway, I reached out to Tim Cook as well in a positive email, in a positive tweet. I've actually praised this particular device quite a bit. But when I tried to use Pages, which is Apple's own product, when I tried to use Keynote, and I tried to use Numbers, as well as tried to use iMovie, as well as the fact that, can you believe that now the Apple Pencil has been out for 5 years, well, just about 5 years, because it'll be in the fall, will be 5 years since the 12.9-inch iPad Pro first came out. Do you know that they still do not have sketch to text, or draw to type, or whatever it is, or draw to text, whatever you want to call it? I cannot believe, Apple, that it has taken you, I love the branding on the Apple Pencil, but I cannot believe that Notes still does not allow me to write notes and then have it be converted to text, when in the keynote in 2015 you said that it would. And then there was also the demonstration from Microsoft with PowerPoint, where one would draw an oval on a slide and it would actually become a physical smart art oval. Now, Apple, if you're going to make iPad OS a laptop replacement, then it needs to have natively the software to support that. So it either has to be baked into the OS, things like iMovie, things like Notes, but then when we come to Keynote, Pages, and Numbers, they've got to be fully functional. Now, in general, Apple has historically neglected the software side of their business, other than iTunes. So iTunes is actually what made me convert fully from a PC-based Sony ecosystem, where I was a big Sony fan. So I had a Sony Vaio laptop, I had a Sony Vaio camera, Sony PlayStation. My desktop, though, I built myself, so that couldn't have been Sony. but the Sony PCs were so beautiful, I thought about buying one. But no, I built my own PC. But I was invested in that ecosystem until I started becoming an iTunes user. And then I bought an iPod, and then I got hooked into the Apple ecosystem. And I've been hooked ever since. And once I bought a MacBook Pro in 2018 and converted myself to, at that time, OS X, and yeah, became a fan. I put Boot Camp on, but I ended up not even bothering to use the Windows side because I didn't want that to be a crutch to learn the ecosystem. So I've learned the ecosystem, and I've tried to, and I think I've mastered the iOS ecosystem, but the apps are not fully functional. And if Apple's apps are not natively fully functional, then whose are going to be? And so I ask you that, I asked that to the community. If there's any, and I've looked at Adobe Premiere, and so, and I've actually thought about, I've been weighing the pros and cons between Adobe Premiere, and there's Adobe Premiere Rush I've seen for iOS, but there's Adobe Premiere versus Final Cut from Apple. And Apple, I've actually thought about upgrading from iMovie to Final Cut, but you don't have a mobile version of Final Cut. And so why would I want to buy Final Cut Pro when I can't do a project here on my iPad, and then maybe if I want to upgrade it, port it over to my MacBook? So I've got, so my update about this device is this, to cut it short. I think that the hardware is fantastic. I was about to hold up my iPhone, but I can't because I'm using it to record on that side. I've never done the reverse angle shot before, 2-cam shot. I need George Lucas, who I absolutely adore George Lucas. I think Star Wars is amazing. But one of the faults of the prequels was that in the middle of an action sequence, that it, beyond the CGI that was going on around, it was one camera, two camera, one camera, two camera, and with no action between, except for the final fight sequence in Revenge of the Sith. All right, should you buy this device? If you want an iPad, absolutely. If you want to be able to do more productivity on your iPad, should you get the Magic Keyboard case with Trackpad? Yes. Is the ApplePencil a great companion, especially if you like to mark up documents or you like to mark up images, which I do as a marketing creative? Then the ApplePencil is great. If you're looking for it to be script to text, no. If you're looking to, and so I actually went onto the App Store and I read about iMovie because I wanted to see for myself. And it clearly states that iMovie for iOS is a great companion where you can start your project on your phone or iPad and complete it on your Mac. Well, Apple, how about I don't want to do it that way? How about I want to start the project at home and I want to bring it on to, considering with iCloud Drive, how about I want to start it at home and then I want to take it on the road with me and I want to finish it on my iPad Pro with the Magic Keyboard case. Like, that's a no-brainer. So if anyone from Apple is still listening to this video, call me, message me, email me, reach out in the comment section below, or anybody else, because I'm looking for the right software, obviously apps when we're talking about the iOS, iPad OS ecosystem, to be able to make full use of this $2,200 USD piece of hardware. And it's fabulous hardware, but I cannot recommend this whatsoever as a replacement for my MacBook Pro. I just can't. And that's a problem for you, Apple, because that's what you're marketing this device as. That's what you're marketing this keyboard case as. And this is not a replacement for a MacBook. Not yet. Not until you make some tweaks to iPad OS. And not until you create your own native apps that are fully functional between the two ecosystems. At some point, you're going to merge them, I'm guessing. And that's another just point that I want to make. I think when you first get this device, you're going to do the same thing that I've done, or maybe you have one already. Let me know in the comments section below. Yeah, and in the comments section below, I'm really crowdsourcing here. I'm asking you, tell me some tips or tricks or hacks or marketing recipes, as I say that we offer here, how best to use this device. What apps should I purchase for this? And I'm not cheap. I'm not looking for free apps. I'll buy the app. I just want it to work. I want to be able to take this device out and use it for what I paid for it to do. So, but maybe you have one of these and you're doing what I'm doing. But I'm finding that I'm using this trackpad so much that I'm not even touching my iPad screen anymore. And that's the whole benefit of having the iPad, right? Is being able to just scroll around with your finger. And so I found myself wasting time fidgeting with the trackpad. The trackpad's great, but obviously some apps are, they were designed to be touch-based. So don't do that. And when I used the device for several days in a row, I then found myself coming over to my MacBook and I found myself typing using the trackpad, but then saying, oh no, you got to use it as a touch device. And then I was touching away foolishly on my MacBook screen. So maybe that'll happen to you as well. All right, that is my 3 weeks with the iPad Pro. Again, this is the 12.9-inch model. It has the 1 terabyte hard drive, and I have the all-new Magic keyboard case with the trackpad and the 2nd gen ApplePencil. I recommend the device, but I don't recommend the device as a replacement for a MacBook because so speaking of, by the way, one of the things that I had mentioned in my first video about this is that I figured out that it does have full Thunderbolt 3 capability, where I can screen it onto my monitor, and it works great. And you can only do that from up here. You can't do that from. This is only for charging. So I think this is really a cool function that Apple added. So if you just want to charge your device, you can plug it in here, and then the cable is out of the way. But on the top part of the, so that would be the bottom of the iPad if you're holding it, as a lot of people do. But if you have it in portrait mode, then it's on the side. Only in portrait mode can you use it for data and for access. So yeah, so charging only over here, charging plus everything else up on the side. So when I have that plugged into my into my monitor, it works great in that fashion. And then the 2 hard drives that I have hooked up to the monitor, the monitor acts as sort of as a base station or a docking system, and then the information is shown here on my iPad, and that's fantastic. But one of the things that really let me down was that I had created a project here in iMovie, and then and you cannot have, by the way, maybe it's just with this Samsung model, but you can't have 2 Thunderbolt devices attached at the same time for data. I can charge this one and use this one at the same time with my 2 Thunderbolt 3 cables, but I can't do split screen. So it's not a fault of the MacBook or the iPad, it's actually the fault of this monitor. And I obviously didn't know that at the time because I only had one Thunderbolt 3 device in September when I bought it, so just about 9 months ago or so now. So make sure if you're buying a Thunderbolt 3 monitor that you read the fine print and you see whether or not you can split screen Thunderbolt 3. So this is a dual Thunderbolt 3 monitor, but it does not allow for you to use two at the same time for data. Charging, yes, but data, no. Yeah, so one of the things that I was disappointed about, well, I first was so excited. So I was so excited that I had connected this to the monitor. I went into general and into my settings there. Or actually, sorry, I take that back. I went into the folder, and I could see the two hard drives that were there, which was great. I opened up iMovie actually, and then it asked me if I wanted to import a project, and I did. So again, I went to the folder, I went to my iMovie folder that I use for my Mac on these hard drives, and I couldn't open the file because the files only work from the iPad or your iPhone to your Mac. They don't work from your Mac to your iPad or your iPhone. Come on, Apple. Come on. All right, I think that's it. Again, great hardware. The OS has certainly improved. I remember getting that first iPad, and then I asked myself, what can I do with this? It's just a big iPhone. So from the first version to today, humongous improvement. But there's still a lot of growth that needs to happen. And I'm happy to share my experience with you, Apple, because I don't care about getting paid. I want the device to work the way I want it to work. So if it takes me sitting in on a focus group or co-leading the software design team to get this to where it needs to be quickly, then I donate my time. Let's just get it done. All right, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this more blog-like video. I thought I would just kind of have fun and just talk to you here in the Marketing Kitchen. And hopefully the audio worked. And I guess we'll both find out in a few minutes. Or actually, I'll find out a lot sooner than you will. All right, we'll see you in our next video. And yeah, I would be silly if I didn't plug a couple of things right here. I recently, because I'm a huge Lego Star Wars fan, I recorded a number of videos in honor of May the 4th. And so the first video actually is where I talk about the dark side of the Force, so all of my sets related to the dark side. So if you want to click up on the link up here, that'll take you to the dark side video. Also, I decided to focus in on the 3 factions, so I did another video on the gray side of the Force. So those are things like bounty hunters and gangsters and things, and you can find that here. The third video focuses in on the light, so the good guys. And so if you're interested in Jedi and heroes, you can click on the link here for that video. I did 3 more, so I did a series of 6. And the next one was, because I'm insane, I did a mock of the Death Star. So it's my own custom Death Star, and you can check that out right here. And it's my Super Death Star. And then the final 2 videos, one of them is on a rare game called the Battle of Hoth. And so that game can be found here. It wasn't released globally, so I just take you through a tour of the Battle of Hoth game by Lego. And then the final video is of all of my Lego Star Wars minifigures. So you can check that video out right here. Now that's just of my Lego Star Wars minifigures. I'm going to do a couple of more videos in the coming weeks, taking you through the rest of the range. So whether it be Disney or Pirates of the Caribbean. I guess that is Disney too, right? And so probably Disney, as well as classic minifigures and classic sets from the 70s and 80s. So anyway, I just thought I'd throw that out. It'd be a shame if I didn't plug that, since it took me 5 days to put that series of 6 videos together. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the format of me doing this camera, second camera, angle, reverse angle setup. And we'll see you in the next video. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Remember, there's always fresh content simmering on our storytelling stovetop. So whatever happens in this kitchen shouldn't stay in this marketing kitchen. I'm Ron Vining, your host, reminding you to invite your family and friends to the next episode of Marketing Kitchen TV.